What's up YouTube, Webbers5 here, just coming at you with a quick update on my opinion on the different engines that you can use for summoning Heavymetalfoes Electrumite. Before we get into the video, I just want to do a couple of quick shoutouts. First off, shout out to Artino Fung for dedication to my videos. He was the first comment, he was the first viewer and first comment on every one of the videos I posted last week. And also shout out to Nick's Rebellion for the really nice words that you said about me trying different things with my deck. That really meant a lot to me. And also a quick shout out to my friend Matt Hazel for another great game that he gave me in today's tournament. And on that note, I'm going to get into the different engines. So with the release of Heavymetalfoes Electrumite, everyone's been trying lots of different ways to summon it quickly, and I just wanted to give you guys my personal opinion on the different ways of summoning Electrumite and how effective I think that they are. So I've got, let me think, 2, 3, 5/6 different engines of what you can use to summon it, so I'm going to go through each one individually. I'll start with probably the most common engines, which are the combo of Astrograph and which is the combination of Astrograph and Chronograph of using those to summon Electrumite. This is probably the one that everyone should be using, as it's just one that's kind of built into the deck. Because you're going to be maxing out on your Astrograph, you're going to be maxing out on your Chronograph, because they're ways to summon monsters. Main usage would be from their pendulum effects, because as a scale, Astrograph can destroy itself so that you can special summon Stargazer Magician, which drops the pendulum onto your field without wasting your normal summon or pendulum. And then Chronograph Sorcerer does the same thing with your Time Gazer Magician as well. So these are probably one of the easiest ways to helping turbo out the Electrumite, and pretty useful if you can combo off each one of them. So probably what you'd want to do is, ideally you want to set up with the Chronograph. So if you've got both Chronograph and Astro in hand, you'd probably activate Chronograph, destroy it, special summon Time Gazer, then activate Astrograph's effect to summon him, special summon himself, and add another copy of your Chronograph, so you've got that additional option later. Simultaneously, you can also do it the other way. Like if you can do Astrograph into summoning Stargazer and then just special summon Chronograph, and then Chronograph's effect is also when he's special summoned that way you can also summon another monster in your hand, which probably more ideal if you're playing like the 3 Electrumite turbo build, but I'm not playing that build. I'm just talking right now about the different engines of summoning it quickly. So Astrograph and Chronograph are probably your best ways of summoning Electrumite quickly without having to resort to other kinds of engines, because these should ideally be built into your deck. If you're not, if you're playing Electrumite in your build, I'd highly suggest maxing out on these and doing the using the Stargazer Time Gazer engine with it. The next one I want to go into is probably one of the more popular ones, which is the Supreme King Dragon Darkworm build. Because Darkworm has the effect that if he's in the graveyard, you can activate his effect to special summon him, and so that's one way of getting a pendulum on the field without using up your pendulum or normal summon. And then Darkworm's other effect is also lets it search a Supreme King Gate, which I've seen some people are now playing Supreme King 0 to use off the effect. This is probably another one of the easier engines because it works quite well. My only issue about it is that it does require you to play a lot of cards into the engine, because the smallest part of the engine that you would play is 3 Darkworm and 1 Foolish Burial, just as the basic way to do it if you're worried about space. But for the more consistent build, you'd want to play 3 Darkworm, 1 Foolish Burial, about 2 copies of Dragon Shrine, and then the optional part is playing 1 to 2 copies of Supreme King Gate 0. So that's so for the consistent build, you'd be playing a minimum of about 6 to 8 cards, which if you're worried about space, this probably isn't the engine for you, but if you are willing to commit the space, this is probably one of the most consistent engines for dropping Electrumite quickly. The only reason I'm not playing it is because I kind of want to use that space in my deck for other things at the moment, so that's why I'm not using Darkworm. One of the next ones I want to go about is Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser. This is probably one of the best ones if you don't want to commit too much space, because essentially you'd only be playing 3 Curtain Raiser to work with this. Because Curtain Raiser's pendulum effect is, if it's in your scale and you control no monsters, you can activate his effect to special summon himself. So that's getting one monster on board without using your normal summon. So that's one way to get him on the field without using your normal summon. It's one of the issues with this is that it's once per duel, and since you want to see it quickly, you want to be playing 3, but that would mean after you've done it once, the other 2 are just dead cards for their effects. However, Curtain Raiser's monster effect can prove useful in terms of, because his monster effect is, if he controls no other monsters, he gains 1100 attack points, which would pump him to 2200, which I suppose is a useful thing if you're against like a stall deck that uses Inspector Border, because that at least gives you an out to summoning that. One of the reasons I'm not playing this, like, in my build, I've got no reason not to play this engine. The only reason I'm not using it is very simply, at the moment, I've only got 1 copy of Curtain Raiser. Though, to hear myself talk about it more, I'm actually liking the sound of it more and more, particularly for the reason that it gives me another option to get over Inspector Border without me having to try using, what's it again? Purple Poison to, because I can't do a Purple Poison and crash into it as my only monster, because Inspector Border because to activate monster effects I have to control a specific monster type on my field, so this is one way of getting over it without activating an effect. For them, and like I said, as I'm talking about this, like I said, I'm not playing because I don't have 3. I did in fact order a couple more before I started this video, so I'm probably going to be giving this a try afterwards. Next one I've seen some people using is the Rescue Hamster build. Rescue Hamster's monster effect is its monster effect is similar to the other Rescue series, but specific to Pendulum monsters. So you can tribute Rescue Hamster, choose a level 5 or lower Pendulum monster in your extra deck, and special summon 2 monsters with the same name, but they have their effects negated and they're destroyed at the end phase, as per the Rescue series. So that's a good way to go. Some people aren't using this too much because since there's very few pendulums in the deck that now go to the extra deck quickly, the probably 2 easiest ones that you could do if you were going first and you've got this in your hand and you want to do it this way would be Wisdom Eye, but that requires you to have a Magician in your other scale and then set it up with that. The other one would be Black Fang, but Black Fang you can't do for the going first, because to use Black Fang's effect and put it in the extra deck, your opponent has to control a monster. So that's... I was using this today, though frankly it wasn't doing that great, so admittedly I sided it out every one of my games. So I might be taking out my Hamster and trying something else like the Curtain Raiser once my other ones show up. However, its Pendulum effect can prove useful as well, because once per duel you can activate it as a scale, banish it, choose 2 Pendulum monsters in your extra deck with the same name, put them back in your hand, which I've seen some people using as more of the turbo build, using multiple Electrumites in one turn to set up the mass negate field that most people know about. And then the final engine I want to talk about, this one's probably my most favourite of the ones. It's using the Mythical Beast engine. This engine uses... This one's got requires about a minimum of 5 spaces to make it consistently, but it proves very useful as well. Like I said, this one's one of my personal favourites, and I'll get into the reason. So for those who haven't seen what it does, Mythical Beast Master Cerberus has a scale. Like all other Mythical Beasts, requires you to have no cards in your other scale, so really good going first. So you can destroy Master Cerberus' scale to search a level 7 or lower effect Mythical Beast from your main deck to your hand. So the one you would search off Mythical Beast Master Cerberus is your Jackal King. Jackal King's pendulum effect is, again, no cards in your scale, destroy it, and then you can special summon 1 Mythical Beast pendulum monster from your extra deck. So what you do is activate Master Cerberus, destroy it, search Jackal King, activate Jackal King, destroy it, special summon back Master Cerberus, and then all you have to do is get another pendulum monster on the field, and then you're all set up for your Electrumite play. One of the reasons I like this one over the other ones is because it's got very easy requirements to activate of just having no cards in your other scales, so you can combo it with most of the other engines very easily. It also combos specifically well with like Astrograph and Chronograph, for the purpose that, well, for the Astrograph purpose, you could do it as either use Astrograph to summon Stargazer as one thing, but another thing you can do with it is activate Master Cerberus, destroy it to search Jackal King, then you could special summon Astrograph to search another copy of Master Cerberus to use at another point, if you've got other ways of summoning it, like with Chronograph, or you can tribute summon it, I guess. I've actually had to do that once when I was completely I've actually had to do that once when I got Quaking Mirror forced or something by someone and I couldn't use my monsters. So I had to trim, which was one of my advantages of playing Master Cerberus at the time. Another reason I'm liking Master Cerberus is, for the engine I'm currently using, I'm using a combo of 3 Master Cerberus, 1 Jackal King, and then the 5th card I'm using in my engine is actually Mythical Beast Basilisk, who has a scale. If, again, no cards you know the scale to use the effect, you can destroy it to shuffle a Spellcaster Pendulum monster from your extra deck into your main deck and then draw 1 card, except for itself. So, good way for me to recover stuff if I've gone through a lot of resources. Also, another reason I'm liking Also, one thing I've liked about Master Cerberus is useful, again, if my opponent's going cherries against me. Because generally, if I go Master Cerberus and then try and summon another monster, if this is like game 2 or 3, my opponent's probably thinking, okay, he's about to go Electrumite, I'm going to cherries, take out the Electrumite, which is bad. I kind of need the Electrumite to make mass combo plays and extend my extra deck. But one of the advantages I've found with Master Cerberus is if my opponent does that, at least Master Cerberus serves a purpose that he's a solid 2,800 points on the field, which is pretty good. That's stronger than every other one of my main deck monsters. And then his other monster effect is also pretty useful as well, that he gains counters every time a spell resolves, and then once he's got 4 or more, he's immune to being destroyed by card effects, which is pretty useful. Came in pretty handy. That's come in handy a couple of times. Then his other effects can also be useful as well. Remove full spell counts from anyone on your field, target a monster you controls, banish it, gain its attack points. I found this pretty useful. I think it was in a tournament I was in last week when I was against my friend Kieran, who plays Inspector Board Anti-Meta, Store, whatever. So I summoned it, let him play a few spells, acting as if I had a response. I actually probably could have responded, I just wanted the spell counter boost for it. Good. He tried stopping my effects with his stuff. Sure, it negated the effects, but since it had at least 4 counters, it couldn't be destroyed. And then he just couldn't get over it, and I won the game eventually. Another one of the reasons people have been playing Master Cerberus is comboing it with Supreme King Dragon, because it's relatively similar to Summon, either with its own effect if you've got the zones open. Yeah, that's one of the other reasons. When you've got your zones extended of your Link monster, if you've got another Master Cerberus and you play multiple Jackals, I'm actually thinking about playing another Jackal in my deck, because I like Jackal for his monster effect, I just never seem to get him on the field to use. So some people use 2 Jackal to bring Master Cerberus back, then they'll contact fuse into a Starving Venom, probably use an Electrumite effect again to get more searches, because that's really good. And then what some people I've seen are using now is overlaying Master Cerberus, since he's an 8, with the Starving Venom, which is also 8, and just make Hope Harbinger, which is pretty useful for negating spell cards. See? Okay, so that's my basic opinion. So that's basically my opinion on which cards you should use. So, in my opinion, probably the most consistent ones that you should use. So definitely I'd recommend using like the Stargazer Time Gazer build that's built into the deck already, because that doesn't exactly commit too much additional space. Then, if you can afford it, I'd probably say go for the Mythical Beast, because that's pretty easy to make, and they have other useful powers that you can use. If you're worried about your space, probably just go with Curtain. If you're worried about space, probably just go with Curtain Raiser. If you're looking for like proper turbo, get stuff going, use a mix of them, and definitely throw in the Rescue Hamster. But if you're looking for like just a simple But if you're looking for like probably the most consistent way of doing it, I'd probably say using the Darkworm engine as well as the Mythical Beasts. Okay guys, I hope this has been really informative. Comment if you liked the video. Comment and like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully some more decent discussions. See you guys next time.